Comic book fans, what is happening, guys? It's been a minute, hasn't it? Man, I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday season. It's great to be back live. Fans, you are on After the Poll. This is episode 11, and this is titled, Did Batman Return to Your Poll? I mean, personally, guys, for me, I feel like it's a good day to be a Batman fan once again, at least when it comes to the main title anyway. I thought it was a pretty good first issue, but we'll be definitely talking about that today. For the day, I even have my Batman hat on, so that's pretty badass, right? And I have my Batman shirt on, so that's pretty cool as well. See, Batman. I'm Batman for today. So yeah, guys. So welcome to the show. I'm glad you guys can make it. Hopefully you guys will enjoy the show. And yeah, so at any time, fans, make sure if you can, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any content from me. And of course, guys, super chats are always much appreciated. And again, I think we're going to have a good show today. I think I picked some good comics. Hopefully, you guys will let me know in those comments below. So the books that we're going to be talking about today is going to be, let me take this one away. We're going to be talking about Star issue 1, right? And then we're going to be talking about X-Force issue 5. And then we're going to be talking about Amazing Spider-Man. This is issue 37. This is after the whole 2099 debacle, because I did not like that story whatsoever. And then next we will have Marvel's X issue 1. So we're going to be talking about that one. And then, guys, we're going to be talking about Venom issue 22. This is Venom Island part 2. And then we're going to be talking about The Rise of Kylo Ren issue 2. I actually caught up on it. I did read issue 1. And when I read issue 2, I was like, all right, yeah, let's talk about this and see if you guys are on board with this actual title. And then we will be talking about, last but not least, the major title of the week, Batman issue 86. Guys, a new creative team has arrived, and I'm very curious to see if Batman now is actually going to stay on your poll going forward here, right? Did now that Tom King's gone, are you guys going to pick up Batman again? So, yeah, and I also want to appreciate the guys out there that were actually kind of chatting with me before the show actually started. I think that's kind of cool, you know, while I was prepping for the show, you guys knew it was coming on. So, thank you for Andrew and Hero the Kid, and for Coffee Breath and K-Crawl, who are all joining the show right now. So thank you guys. And yeah, and Coffee just sits there and says, "What's up, y'all?" So welcome. And then Hero and the Kid says, "LOA, hey, no lawnmower. Did you slip him some cash?" Hey, I guess the guy can only come, once a week, right? So I'm assuming that he's going to be here next Tuesday when I do my most anticipated video once again. But there's always people out here making all kinds of crazy noise. So bear with it if you actually hear it. So what do you guys think about the fancy new mic? Does it sound any better? And I also got a new Chromebook. And so I kind of upgraded some stuff. And Chi-Town Bud joins the show. What's up? So welcome. Always giving that thumbs up. So let's get into this, okay? Let's talk about the first book today. So the first book that we're going to be talking about is Star issue 1. This is probably not maybe your guys' favorite book, but I feel like sometimes with the good, we got to talk about the bad. And this was the book that was also a new number 1. It was released from Marvel Comics as well today. And if anything that I got out of this, it was the J. Scott Campbell variant cover. I thought this one was pretty cool. So, but the artwork inside was kind of rough, and the story itself was kind of all over the place. It was like this pity party for Ripley, I think her name is, for Star. And this continues off the pages of Captain Marvel. So if you guys are not reading Captain Marvel, you might not be familiar with this actual title. But yeah, art wise, it was just okay. It wasn't anything special, right? And the one thing that you get here from this book is you learn about a little bit about this character. And this book is written by Kelly Thompson, who does Captain Marvel and created this character. And the one thing you wind up getting here is that Star Ripley is the actual holder of the reality stone, and it makes it a thing in the beginning of the issue to actually tell you that. So you can see that in the issue there, okay? And we have the Soul Stone. We don't know where it's at. The Mind Stone, don't know where that's at. The Space Stone, don't know where that's at. Power Stone, same thing, guys. The Time Stone, we have Hector Bautista is holding that one. And then the Reality Stone, we have Ripley Ryan. So this story is about her holding this Reality Stone, and she doesn't know kind of like what to do with it. Oh, yeah. I forgot to tell you. Let's talk comic books. Warning, spoilers. So, yeah, there's full-on spoilers here, guys. So if you haven't read your comics yet, go ahead, read them, and then come back and watch this post live, okay? So we see a little bit of flashback how, like, you know, Captain Marvel possibly killed her, and she went to the raft, and she was released from jail, and she doesn't know how to use this reality stone, and she's, like, seeking help, you know, and she winds up getting into just these random fights with Titana. I don't know how you actually say her name. And it was just like she just goes to random places. She's like, I don't know how to use my reality stone. So Loki comes up to her and he can't get the stone from her. He's like trying to steal it. Like she just goes from like place to place, and it's just dumb. And then she winds up going to Jessica Jones out of all people, and she's just like, I want you to help me. And the way she uses the actual stone is like it's more of like a mind control thing. And last that I checked, there is a thing called there is the Mind Stone, which is yellow, right? And she's got a reality one. So shouldn't it augment reality and not persuade people to do things like Jedi mind tricks? So I found that the biggest loophole in the story. Like I was like, what does this mean? And we don't know how she actually got it and whatnot. And it was just dumb. Again, she's trying to control Jessica Jones. That's what she's doing here. So I don't really understand what was going on here. And I don't know what the long-term effects of this. And then all of a sudden Scarlet Witch just appears out of nowhere. And so I was like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. I don't know if I'm going to be continuing this, or I don't know if I want to read it to see what direction it goes, if it continues to be better, or if it continues to go worse, or is this train wreck? I don't know, you know, and it's like, I want to like the character because I actually liked her in Captain Marvel, but now you put her on her own and it's just, she's just stupid. There's all kinds of different people you can go to. Why are you going to go to, Jessica Jones out of all people? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, it was just kind of weird. So I don't know. Tom's Comic Books and Reviews is on. He says, hey, what's up? So welcome to the show. Glad you guys are tuning in. You know, again, anytime you want to throw in a comment out there, guys, go ahead and feel free. Again, I don't know how many of you guys read Star out there, and you probably have nothing to say about it. But if you're looking to save some pennies, yeah, this is something that you may want to pass on. Okay. So yes. All right. So let's move on to the actual next book here. Okay, let's talk about somewhat of a decent book. All right, so we're going to talk about X-Force. This is issue 5, right? This left you with a pretty big cliffhanger at the end of the last issue, okay? I thought it was kind of cool because you wind up seeing Quentin Quire in the last issue and Wolverine. They actually go through this Krakoan portal, all right? And the humans, the assassins that assassinated Xavier and have been going all to these different points where the X-Men live, actually cut off the power to the Krakoan portal, and they chopped Wolverine in half and destroyed Quentin Quire, and he got decapitated. So healing factor for Wolverine does kick in. Okay. Quentin Quire, dude's decapitated. He's got to go in the easy bake oven, and they gotta sit there and bring back Quentin Quire. Okay. So we wound up, learning that at least. But the book opens up beautifully. I mean, you wind up getting to see Wolverine like this. Like, look at him. He's on the ground. He's chopped in half. And what do you see is you see Quentin Quire's head that is actually just decapitated on the ground. And it's a very dark and gruesome book, man. I just was like, holy cow, this is insane. So I was like, what's going to happen to Wolverine? Are they going to put him in that adamantium like pool that they introduced in the last issue? Like, what are they actually going to do? And so what happens is we find out Domino is an actual major player in this particular issue. Okay. She winds up teaming up with Forge, and they got to go after these assassins. They're trying to get all this Krakoan technology to bring back to their place, their secret headquarters, or whatever the case may be. And we get to see that Wolverine is still very much alive and active. He actually sits there and stabs someone in the back, and he's just got no legs. Like, it's crazy. Okay. And so this issue had a ton of action. Okay. Like, a ton of action, and it was really cool. But when these soldiers come across Wolverine just gets pulverized some more. I mean, he gets machine gunned to the freaking brains. Like, there's just basically nothing left. At this point, I didn't know how he could actually regenerate. I'm like, oh my gosh. But here comes the rivalry. They come to save Wolverine, and Domino has a vendetta against these people because they basically tortured her to death. Okay. And so she is also fused with Krakoan technology as well. And we wind up getting to see a really emotional moment between Beast and Domino here, as Domino had to try to hold back to keep survivors of this assassination group to get answers on who they are, where they're from, why are they after Professor Xavier, things like that. And it was a very intense issue. The crazy thing is, though, how Wolverine was actually healed. I thought that was really wild here. So Forge comes in with his like Krakoan armor. Okay, hopefully you can see it. And you wind up seeing that Wolverine is in half, and you wind up seeing Forge has the bottom half of Wolverine, and he winds up sticking them back together again so he can fuse. So as soon as he sticks them back together, he's like, heal. And it was just off the wall and crazy. And I'm just like, oh my God. And but this was kind of like a dark side, light side Luke Skywalker moment in this particular issue when it came to Domino. It was, does she make the right choice, right? Save the guy or get revenge? And she winds up saving that guy. And you wind up seeing Beast and Jean Grey wind up doing an interrogation on the soldier, and they find out kind of like who their leader actually is. So yeah, and that's basically how the book ends at this particular point in time. So good character moments in here. I want to say, though, the one thing that I wish that was better was the whole situation with Wolverine. I wish it wasn't so easy, right? It was just like, hey, Forge, I got one half of Wolverine and another half, and we're going to stick you together, and you're just going to start healing. That's just kind of weird for me, right? So I don't know what to think about that particular part. I was hoping that they kind of upgraded him or did something different to him, or he had to recover. And then, yes, Kid Omega, he is getting resurrected because there was no way that he was going to live through the whole thing. So let's see. We got a few comments here. So thank you guys for your comments. Let me see if I can go to the new ones. Let's see. All right. We'll go to K Crawl's comment here. It goes, Jessica Jones is the wrong person to ask for help, especially since the person asking for help is not Carol. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't agree with that whatsoever. I was like, why is she going to Jessica Jones? It just didn't make sense. And Moon Knight 101A says, I actually love Star. Well, that's good. I'm glad that you did. Again, that's what's so great about this hobby. Like, I could actually hate this book, but there's people that could actually like it, you know? I'm not sure, Moon Knight, if you actually read Captain Marvel and you followed up on, how Star was introduced in the main series. I just thought she was written so much better in that main series than this first introductory issue. So again, we'll see where it goes, and if I continue to read it, or depending on the week, if I continue to buy it or not. So we'll see what happens. All right. Next, we have Coffee Breath. I don't mind spoilers. You just saved me $5. Moon Knight says, I thought Star was decent. Yeah, so good. Like I said, that's awesome. K. Crawl says, the new X-Men books have been hit and miss for me, but X-Men and X-Force have been solid so far. The rest of the X books, not so much. Yeah, I agree with you, K. Crawl. I am on 3 right now. I have X-Force, X-Men, and Marauders. And Marauders out of the 3 are my least favorite. Kind of not too sure of what's going on with Kitty Pryde at this time, but yeah, it's a pretty good book. But X-Force tends to be my favorite. The last issue of X-Men was a lot of exposition, so I wasn't totally thrilled with it. But all the other issues have been really good, so we'll see what happens with it. All right. So next we have Tone Loke waves hello and happy New Year, Mike, and everyone. Welcome to the show, Tone Loke. I'm glad you're on, bud. Thanks you so much for watching. All right. And hopefully, guys, like I said, you're getting back to your normal routines. I know it's not always easy, being off for a couple weeks and whatnot, but this show's back. So welcome back. All right. So Coffee Breath says X-Force has been solid. And Vinny joins the show and says, at Craig Hall, a lot of people are saying don't sleep on New Mutants. The book might be a long-term read. That's interesting. Yeah, I can't get into New Mutants though. Like, I'm not crazy about the characters. The only character I like is Ileana, and I just wasn't fond of the book. So we'll see where that goes too. The Funky Cold Medina. I remember that song. Coffee Breath. This week's New Mutants was great. Okay, in my opinion, good. And Kelvin joins the show. Oh, look, who's streaming? My favorite Spider Slayer. That's good. Hopefully I am the only Spider Slayer out there. I don't know anybody else that is called Spider Slayer. And you guys are my Spider Slayer fans. I wish I actually had a fan base name for you guys. Like, I just call you guys the comic fans, but you're comic fans, but you're also Spider Slayer fans, right? So, or Comic Book Corner 2.0 fans. So we got to come up with a name for all you guys. And Kelvin says, I like Kid Omega without a head better. That's hilarious. So, all right, cool. So thank you guys for all those great comments. Let's see, what are we going to talk about now? So we talked about our X-Force. We talked about Star. So let's talk about the Amazing Spider-Man. This is issue 37. Now, we went through the whole Spider-Man 2099 situation, and I thought that whole thing was a mess. Like, I hated that story arc. And now we get to begin a new story arc, and we get Ryan Ottley back on artwork in this particular issue. So, yeah, I think we're headed back in the right direction here with Nick Spencer. This was pretty good, okay? So, Spider-Man, I could totally understand. He's feeling totally overwhelmed. He doesn't know what to do with himself. He doesn't find himself spending any time with his family, his loved ones, his friends. He's tired all the time. Everyone wants something. He's got to fight somebody. And, again, we talk about that. Okay. Then the other plot line that goes on in this book is J. Jonah Jameson. Okay. He's been doing this radio show. He's getting made fun of by some younger generation. They're calling him a dinosaur. It looks like they're going to take over his spot on the radio. And it's kind of sad for him. But Nora Winters, out of all people, comes to him with a specific deal that he cannot pass up. So there was a lot of exposition in this particular issue, but this part of it was quite interesting because it's an offer that Jay Jonah sees, but the reader doesn't see. And so you're kind of left wondering as the reader here, wow, what is this deal that Jay Jonah cannot pass up? I mean, he literally freaks out. Like, look at his face here. He's like, what? So, yeah. So it's quite interesting though. So I don't know what to expect there. So that's that part of this mystery. Then from this 2099 storyline, and we have this contraption that Peter Parker's science buddy that he goes to college with or whatever it is winds up making this thing where you could actually predict the future. Okay. And so it was quite interesting there. And he's like, oh, he tries to go to like other heroes. He goes, oh, do you want to experiment on this? Can you do this? And so he goes to Iron Man and Captain Marvel. And they said, no one's more responsible than you, Spider-Man. So you should, use this device. And it's kind of like, okay. And so he uses it to his advantage. He's like, well, why not use this device? Because if I can predict the future, then maybe all these dinosaurs won't come and destroy the world, and maybe I can save the burglars from robbing the banks and all this crazy crap. And he's like, and maybe I'll actually have time to myself, which was kind of cool. There wasn't too many comical moments in this particular book, which I think at times Nick Spencer lacks with the character of Spider-Man. Like, character wise, like, he needs to be more witty, and he wasn't as witty. But there was one part in here where he was in behind a line with an old lady where he's like picking up like potato chips and Coke and stuff like that, which is cool. And then he had a good moment at the end of this book where we have Spider-Man meets up with Mary Jane online because she's shooting her movie and whatnot. And they wind up watching a movie together, and he falls asleep to her by his side, and she's on the phone, and he's like, "Get some sleep, Tiger." And I thought that was really good, really great moment that these two shared, and she was even really in the book. So and then by the time we would get to the end of this, we're still dragging along the whole Kindred situation. We don't know who Kindred is. Some people are theorizing that Kindred might be Harry Osborn because there's a lot of connection there between him and the Kindred and Norman Osborn. So I don't know what's happening, but by the time we get to the end of this particular issue, guys, remember, spoiler, we wind up seeing that it's the Sin Eater is back, and it's like the Kindred like resurrects the character. So interesting there. Good book. I don't know where they're going to go with this whole contraption that Spider-Man is using. If it's going to be a long-term thing, or is it going to be destroyed? Is it going to fall in the hands of, evil people? And then when are we going to get the revelation of Kindred, right? I mean, we've had 37 issues of the Amazing Spider-Man here, right? And we still don't know who this character is. So how long is Nick Spencer going to draw this out for? And I'm curious, guys, what do you think of Nick Spencer as the writer of Spider-Man at this point? I think we can get a full idea of how his writing is. And, do you want to see him on here longer, or is there a particular person you want to see writing the character? Again, put it in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to share it with everybody else out there. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And that's Spider-Man for you. So again, okay. All right. So I guess I got some names. How about Slayers? So Hero and the Kid comes up with Slayers for the fans. And here's an interesting one. Kelvin says Corner Slayers because it's a combination of Comic Book Corner 2.0 and the Slayers, right? Spider Slayers. Moon Knight says, I'm not really feeling Nick Spencer again. I think we need a new creative team on Spider-Man. Who is that creative team? Who would you like to see write the character? We had Dan Slott on there for years. We have Nick Spencer right now. We have Donny Cates, who is currently writing Thor, so I don't think that's going to happen. And he also wrote Venom already. So I don't know if that could be him in the future. It could be. So we'll see what happens. Mother Goose says, hi, first time on your channel. Thanks for all the information. Thanks, Mother Goose, for actually tuning in to the channel. And hopefully you enjoy all the other content on here as well. Coffee Breath says, welcome. Thank you. And then Craig Hall says, I liked Amazing Spider-Man 37 much more than the recent 2099 arc. Nick Spencer's run has been a hit and miss. There have been good arcs and really some bad ones as well. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, that 2099 one wasn't even bearable, in my opinion. The artwork was bad. The story was boring. Like, who cares about, you know, Silver Sable and the whole like country thing? Like, who cared about all that? And then even the 2099 books were really pretty weak as well. All right. And then we had Coffee Breath says, was 2099 forced on Nick Spencer, or was that his idea? I don't know. It probably was forced, since Marvel came up with the whole 2099 idea. Nick Spencer was like, well, I'll do a Miguel one. But even he could have wrote a better Miguel O'Hara story. I just thought it was just so lackluster, man. It was like, oh, it was pathetic. So boring. It was like, it was Miguel talking the whole entire time. And I was like dozing off while reading that 2099 issue. And Moon Knight 101 says, I would like Chip Zdarsky to write the Amazing Spider-Man. Chip Zdarsky's pretty good. I mean, he did already the Spectacular Spider-Man, and it was good, but it was just one long story arc. And I don't think I could really do that with Spider-Man if he chose to go that path again. I like smaller story arcs, like 4 or 5 issue story arcs, or when there's an event going on. But his story arc was like really, really one continuous story for the most part. But I know people are really liking Zdarsky right now because of, I think he's doing Daredevil right now. And so people are high on him. So it definitely could be a possibility. I mean, maybe that's why they had him write Spectacular Spider-Man to begin with. Maybe it tests the waters for the future. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. All right. So let's move on. Let's talk about our next book, guys. We talked about Amazing Spider-Man now. So we're going to talk about another new #1 this week that came out. So this is Marvel X, issue 1. I knew nothing about this. Like, I didn't even know. I knew Alex Ross was behind it and Jim Kruger, but I didn't even know that there was a story that existed before this. Like, I was totally clueless. Like, this is a prequel to, and it says it in here too. Let me see if I can actually find it, to Earth X. And supposedly that story is already out, but they're actually going to be re-releasing it on January 29th. So, because it says on sale January 29th. So I don't know if it will be a collected edition or whatnot, but this was actually a pretty good story. I found it quite interesting because it fits in my wheelhouse of like apocalyptic stuff. And if you guys have watched my channel, the Corner Slayers, you guys would know that I love apocalyptic things and the end of the world scenarios and stuff like that. And that's what happened in this particular book. So let's talk about this one. So in the beginning of this book, we have a character. What was his name? Danny? No, David. His name is David. You get to see him play with like superheroes and stuff like that. He's a huge superhero fan. And his family is watching this apocalyptic situation take place right in front of them, okay, learning about people that are having, they're called these scabs, and they get this cocoon wrapped around them, and and they develop these powers when they come out of this cocoon. It's kind of like this inhuman situation, okay, and right now the family was healthy, but the book kind of fast forwards to like a couple of months from now, I think it is, and you get to see David's entire future, his entire family, just all messed up. He has a sister by the name of April. He's got a grandmother. His mom and dad already died. And you see him take on the responsibility of of caring for them. And the reason why, for some reason why he did not get affected, it's because of his belief in the superheroes. Like it's just weird. Like it's different. He's like one of the few people that don't get infected. But we wind up seeing his grandmother. His grandmother is in this like cocoon state, and it's just very weird. And she tries to give him advice. He goes like running to a grocery store to get supplies and to disguise himself so the other like mutant like creatures don't go after him. He poses as one of these mutant like creatures, like Green Goblin, so they don't get onto him. And he goes into the grocery store and he's friends with this lady that's called like Mrs. Tree or something. And she's actually like turned into a tree, which I thought it was actually hilarious, and she gives him food and supplies and all that kinds of stuff. And it was a lot of fun. So when he goes back home, he winds up finding out that his sister's got these full-on abilities where she's like a phoenix, and she can't be contained in her room anymore, and she just leaves. And then the next thing you see is that his grandmother wound up passing away while he was gone getting the food. So there's nothing left for him at this point. So what happens is he winds up getting attacked by some of the other people, and this dude in this truck winds up picking him up and takes him for a ride, and he wants to go after the heroes to see if they can help him. Really quite interesting issue, and I'm not sure where it's going to go from here. This is chapter 1. The next one goes on sale, I think, in February. Yeah, so this was a good read. I definitely, if you guys were kind of on the fence about this one, I say pick this one up. And if you like apocalyptic like books, you might want to pick this up too. And then if you were a fan of that whole series that took place beforehand, you might want to check this out also. So it was really a good book. I quite enjoyed it. So $4.99, just to let you know, if it's too much money for you, I totally understand it. But sometimes it's worth it when you have a good read there. So I got a couple more comments here before we move on to the next book. Let's check it out. So let's see. We have K. Crawl says, maybe now since Patrick Gleason is at Marvel doing art, maybe Marvel can get Peter J. Tomasi to write Spider-Man someday. That would be kind of cool. I like Peter J. Tomasi. I think he's a great writer. I think he did a great Superman book, and I think he did good. He does a good job at Detective Comics as well. I'm not currently reading Detective Comics, but yeah, I could see that actually happening. And then let's see, we have Andrew. He says Earth X was a huge story from 1999. See, that's why I know why I didn't read it, because in 1999 I wasn't reading comic books at that time. So I was basically, 24 years old. I was just met my wife. I mean, I was doing everything but reading comic books. So that's why I have no clue on what that story actually is. So I'm going to probably have to pick that up now and see what that's all about. So hopefully it's good. If you guys read it, just let me know if it was a good series or not. So if I have to shell out the money for it, it's worth it. All right. So let's see what we got here next. Next book we're going to talk about, everybody, is Venom issue 22. It's Venom Island Part 2. So we have the continuation of this story here. And I want to appreciate the 19 viewers that are watching. Guys, let me know what you think of the show. And again, feel free to comment anytime. I'll give you a shout out. It's much appreciated. All I ask for is if you guys want to subscribe and like it, that is great. So, we let people know that this show is out there and my channel exists and I exist and and things like that. I do exist, but exist in the YouTube community. Oh, man. So we're going to talk about Venom Island. So last issue of Venom Island, okay, we wind up seeing Eddie Brock. He wound up absorbing all of the symbiotes, and he obviously has a piece of Carnage attached to him, and it's kind of doing battle against his own symbiote. And so he goes to the island, and he knows this place, and he feels like he can defeat this Carnage symbiote, okay? weird, but he feels that he can do it. So throughout this entire issue, you wind up really just seeing him battle the symbiote. He goes to these safe houses because when he fought Spider-Man in the past in this island, he created all these places. He's got this whole weapons cache and things like that. And we get to see a little bit of Dylan, which I kind of want to know more about him than the whole thing with Eddie Brock being on the island situation, because we wind up seeing that Dylan has this crazy ass nightmare with Null, and Dylan is keeping a like a symbiote, a little piece of a symbiote for himself in this little crate. Now we know that he is friends with, or a companion with, this sleeper symbiote, but what is this little piece again that he is actually keeping? Why is he keeping it? What's he going to be using it for? And who knows at this point? So I thought that was quite interesting. You wind up seeing Eddie Brock getting all geared up, trying to defeat Venom, or the Carnage symbiote, and trying to release his other. And you see that the Carnage symbiote is slowly taking over like monkeys and eagles and all this other crap. And we wound up thinking that, oh yeah, Eddie Brock gets the upper hand because he lights fire everywhere. And that's not the case. We wound up seeing the symbiote come face to face with Eddie. He's holding his hand and he just gets the upper advantage here. And Eddie Brock is like, screw you. He's like, fuck your shit. I'm going to cut off my freaking hand and you're going to release me. And that's how the issue ends. And you're like, well, shit, now Eddie Brock's got no hand. So when he becomes Venom again, though, he's obviously going to get his hand back, because if you read Venom, when Flash Thompson was Venom, he wound up getting legs when he didn't have any legs. So it really doesn't matter that Flash doesn't have a hand. It just makes for a crazy cliffhanger that he's willing to sacrifice himself, to defeat Carnage. So this was a really action heavy. I don't think it really progressed the plot at all. And again, I think what it needs is to explore Dylan more. We need to know if he's going to reveal his secret to his father. What is he? And we need those answers. I really want those answers. But it is a good book. It's probably a 5-minute read. And, we'll see where it goes from here. I love the cover, though. I love the crashing waves that actually act as as the Venom symbol. So that's cool. All right. So let's see what the Spider Slayer fans have to say here. So we got a few more comments there. Kenneth says, Earth X was for Marvel what Kingdom Come was for DC back in the mid to late 90s. So I guess that was their answer to Kingdom Come. All right. Coffee Breath says there was Paradise X as well. Yeah, I saw that. There was like multiple storylines with this whole situation. So it would have to be a lot to collect there. Next, G-Spot Comics says, I was broke as college students back in 1999. Yep, that was me too. I tried to read some comics back in 1999, but man, it was hard. Really hard. And there wasn't really any comic shops in my area. And, the internet wasn't as good as it is today. Like, it was hard to get stuff. So, times have changed a lot. Coffee Breath says both were good, I thought. I read them on Unlimited. Okay, that's cool. That's good to know. Universe X as well. Yeah, see, everyone's posting up all these different those X books. So I'm going to have to try them out. Coffee Breath says, Andrew for the win. I couldn't remember the name. There you go. Kenneth says, I have not read Venom in quite a while. Never been a huge fan of the character. Kenneth, if I can say anything when it comes to the Venom, ever since Donny Cates has taken over the character, he's given him a lot more depth. He's not just some brain hungry character anymore. He's given him some kind of mythos. He gives him a son now. It's a really good book. And usually Ryan Stegman does the artwork on the book as well. But since they just finished Absolute Carnage, Mark Bagley is doing the artwork. So it's pretty well written. And it's, so I definitely would suggest if you want to give it a try, but you got to read it in trade. Andrew says, sweet design of the Venom cover. Yeah, it's kind of creative, isn't it? So I like that one as well. All right, so let's move on, guys. All right, so we're at 20 viewers right now. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Like I said, it's hard to get everyone back on again after being off for the holidays for a couple of weeks, but I know I'll slowly get you guys back in Spider Slayer's corner. I don't know. Again, I'm trying to come up with some name for you, the fans. All right, so let's move on to the next book. We're going to talk about The Rise of Kylo Ren, issue 2. Now, I think this book is a great idea because this is something that was never explored in the Star Wars movie. Everyone wanted to know more about Kylo Ren, his time with the Knights of Ren, right? And how he became this way. Well, this comic book series starts to explain that. I don't know exactly how many issues this was, but the one thing I can say is when issue 2 came out yesterday, I was like, fuck, I forgot issue 1. So I wound up reading this online, the first issue, and then I read the second issue. And reading it back to back, it kind of blurs into me, as one issue. But I really enjoy this book, and I love seeing the character development of Kylo Ren. I wish they kind of would have explored this in a movie a little bit, So if you guys haven't seen the cover, this is the way the cover looks. Let me take away the banner here. And so this is what we have right here. So, yeah, in the first issue, you wind up seeing Kylo Ren get that whole story about him attacking Luke Skywalker, and there was some Padawans or whatever they were that were at the temple as well, and they're trying to stop Kylo Ren, and he escapes, and then he goes to Snoke, and supposedly he's been in contacts with Snoke for a very long time. Like, it's like, how you talk bad about somebody behind their back, but then you're friends with them right there. That's kind of how Kylo treats Luke Skywalker. It's kind of like, oh yes, master, blah blah blah. Oh, Skywalker, Luke is pissing me off and shit like that. And so that's how he talks to Snoke, and Snoke kind of feeds into that, and he makes Ben's actual hate for Luke even more. So it's kind of interesting how it works in this book. And Charles Soule is the writer of this, and he writes a lot of the Star Wars books, and I think he's a great writer for this and for the Star Wars universe. I think he really gets it. So in this particular issue, we wound up seeing Kylo meet up with or not Kylo, I guess I'll call him Ben at this point because he's not Kylo Ren yet. He meets up with Snoke in this weird, like, I don't know, planet, whatever it is. And Snoke is just feeding him some bullshit, oh yeah, you're better than Luke Skywalker and this and that, and you don't even compare to them, and they're afraid of you. And what you get a lot of in this particular issue, though, is stuff that happened earlier. Okay, you wind up seeing Luke Skywalker and Ben go to this particular planet to collect these Jedi artifacts, and I think the place is called Elfrona, and we wind up seeing that they go to this place where all the artifacts are, and they wind up meeting up with the Knights of Ren, and we wind up seeing that Ren himself is kind of like, all right, Luke, leave this place and leave all your shit here with me, and we'll take care of it because there's no one here that's going to stop us. There's 7 of us. There's 1 of you. And Luke Skywalker was pretty badass here as he's kind of like taking on everybody. And what happens is he winds up beating everybody except Ren himself. And Ren kind of knows when he's lost out. But he points out to Ben Solo and says, you're very dark, you're shadowy, or whatever he is that he calls it. And he goes, and you're very strong, and that's obvious. And Luke is like, leave. And so he kind of does leave, and he leaves that helmet, and he goes, if you ever change your mind and you want to go to the dark, come with us. So Ben winds up grabbing that helmet, he puts it on, and he's talking to one of the leaders of Ren. And just as he starts to do that, we wind up seeing that the people that were tracking him before caught up with him, and now they're going to kind of do battle with him and see if they can take him in. Of quite interesting issue. I like this story. I think it's a lot of fun. Um, it's something that I want to learn more of, and I love seeing the downward spiral of the character. Again, that's shit that I like. It's like, again, I like that apocalyptic stuff. I like when someone's good and they go down a rabbit hole and they become bad. It's a shame that I haven't seen the Joker yet, because it would be right up my alley. I love seeing that change, and seeing the Knights of Ren in here is pretty cool too. You get to see how dark that they actually are. So I really love this book. So if you guys haven't jumped on board yet, definitely check it out. I think it's a lot of fun, man. And I can't wait for the next issue. But I love how Snoke, how manipulative he is. And after seeing Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, it's like when I saw Snoke, I obviously saw the Emperor here because of everything that happened in The Rise of Skywalker. So yeah, cool stuff. I'm curious to see what you guys think of it here in the comments. I got quite a few, so let's tackle it real quick. Let's see. All right, so we got here by Moon Knight says, try reading Venom by Rick Remender. Yeah, that was good. Was that the Flash run? If I remember correctly, I'm not 100% sure. And then you had Charlie Adlard, I think, that did the artwork at first with it as well. And that was it. If it was a good run. K. Crawl says, I will check out the Venom by Donny Cates trades. I'm a huge fan of his work. Yeah, see, if you like Donny Cates' writing, I think you will really love the book. I really like Thor issue 1, and I kind of like the direction that he's taking Thor as well. I know Donny Cates is a big cosmic guy. He always attaches his writing to cosmic stuff. He looks at the bigger picture of things. So even Venom, like a character so simplistic as Venom, he made it into this big cosmic godlike being that controls all the symbiotes. That's brilliant, in my opinion. Give the character so much more depth. He took on Guardians of the Galaxy, which was only a 12-issue run that he did, but it was still really well done. So and now he's taking on Thor, and right away, what does he take Thor? He gets Galactus involved and says, hey, Galactus is like, hey, you're my herald now. We got to go stop this, whatever it is, this winter of plagues or shit like that. So, yeah, cool stuff. The Immortal Biggie Shack is Comic Book Street. I'm looking for the names of our fans on a comic book evening. Nice. G-Spot Comics, sitting my ass at my cubicle watching your video. God, I love my job. G-Spot, nothing's better than that, than being able to sit at a cubicle, listen to the show, and still get your work done, right? That's pretty badass, man. Congrats on that. Good job. Coffee breath. Biggie! Andrew goes, Rise of Kylo Ren is really well done. So I'm glad you're liking it, Andrew. K. Crawl says, I've liked Star Wars, The Rise of Kylo Ren so far. It explores a lot of the backstory of Kylo that was not explained in the sequel trilogy films. And I think that's the biggest issue when it comes to this newest trilogy, right? We had so many characters that were introduced in the Star Wars, this trilogy, and none of them was explored, right? It's like you get Kylo Ren, who I think story was the best, and then you got Rey's, and then everyone else is kind of like shitted on. Like, you don't know anything about Finn. He was a stormtrooper, but after that, he's like, I got something to tell you. Don't know shit. Then it's like, you got Poe, who is like, hey, I was like in love with this girl once, but we never see her face. And it's just very convenient that you hand me this coin so I can get on the Star Destroyer. So we got that bullshit. Rose, she was introduced in the last one. She was like barely even shown in this one. And it's just like Leia just died. Like I get it. Like Leia can't be really in the movie, but it's just so little character development and growth in the overall trilogy. It just leaves it so open-ended. I have so many issues with the newest Star Wars movie. It is I thought it was entertaining. I loved seeing Palpatine back. He's a great villain. I love him so much, but it was just like, it just didn't make sense to me. It's like, Rise of Skywalker was a movie that I wanted to love so much, and I still want to. But as the more and more I always thought about this movie, it's got so many problems with it. All right, K. Carl says Charles Soule is doing amazing work on the recent Star Wars titles. Loved his Darth Vader series and look forward to the newest Darth Vader series coming out very soon. It was actually advertised in this book actually, and I'll let you guys know when it's actually coming out if I can find the flipping advertisement here. So let's see if I can find it. Obviously, you're not going to find it, so I can't tell you, but I know it's coming out soon. All right, so let's see what other comments I have. Looking forward to Star Wars Bounty Hunter 2. Hell yeah, Coffee Breath. That shit's awesome, man. I saw the preview to that. I'm like, they got some weird Terminator-like guy on there, and then they got who else is there? They got like Bossick on there, and then Boba Fett's on there. Hell yeah. Am I the only one that hasn't finished Mandalorian yet? I'm on episode 6. My son was watching the end of episode 7 yesterday, and I'm like, oh shit! I just walked in the door from work, and it's just like he saw that. I saw the end of episode 7. I'm like, who's this dude in this TIE fighter that's got this cape? And he's like, kind of looks like Darth Vader. And where'd the Empire come from? You know, it's so weird. Oh, Bavarian's on the show. Welcome. She just says, call us the Slayers. So I'm Mike Spider Slayer, and you guys are the Slayers. You can help slay comic books with me. Andrew says, oh, yeah, the Bounty Hunters book is going to be awesome. And Bavarian's like, yeah, I'm also in my cube. There we go. So we got 2 people in their cubes, you know, doing work and watching the show. It's awesome. Spreadsheet Slayer. Next. Hey, comic community. This is Comic Jarboni. Welcome. This is the first time I heard of you, so welcome so much for tuning into the show. Thanks, guys. Again, I ask, you know, subscribe and like, and you won't miss content from me. If you ever feel like you can donate to the show, that's always much appreciated too. All right, so here's the main thing. This is the book that you guys have been talking about because I truly want to know what you guys thought of Batman. This is issue 86. We've been waiting for this for a very long time. And is Batman back on your pull list after the first issue of this new story arc from the new creative team of Tinian IV and Tony S. Daniel? That's what I want to know. You can put it in the comment section, yes or no. Or if you want to talk about Batman, put it in the comment section on what you thought of this particular book. All right, so the first thing that's really good about this book, I'll say it right now, is this artwork, man. Tony S. Daniel, I've loved his artwork for years, and his Batman is gorgeous. All the characters in there are gorgeous. The way he draws detail when characters are dying, even in this book, it looks pretty badass. And Selena looks gorgeous in this book as well. I mean, just every character is awesome. I think Deathstroke made his appearance in this issue. Yeah, here he is. Like, he's lying on the ground here in a thing of rubble. I think what was really awesome too. So artwork just hits it out of the park. And as long as he's on this book, guys, man, there's no reason why to drop this book because it's visually stunning. It's a masterpiece. Okay. Now, when it comes to this story, we wind up seeing Bruce Wayne here trying to build a better Gotham, a future Gotham to where maybe to the point where it's not needed for him to be Batman anymore, right? He wants to turn it upside down. I mean, he's been fighting crime forever, but he wants to build all these buildings and all this other crap. So that was kind of cool. The thing that I got out of this, though, emotionally, is I do like how Tinian continued to carry forward with the death of Alfred and kind of made it more emotional for the reader. And I think that's what hit home for me here, because when Alfred died in the other Batman series, or in the Batman series when King wrote it, it was like he kind of just died. And I know they did that one issue, but I felt like in this everyday setting where Batman has hit the town and he's trying to save the day, it's just like he's asking for help. His new partner is Lucius, and he's the one that builds all his tech. He's the one that talks to him now. And when he got done fighting the battle with Deathstroke in this issue, he was like, Alfred, give me a report. And it's like, yeah. And Lucius didn't know what to say. He was just really silent. And he just goes, Bruce, Alfred's not here. And as a reader there, you got to feel that moment, right? And so I really appreciated that. And I really enjoyed it. And the fight against Deathstroke, I thought was really cool. This new tech that I don't ever remember seeing was kind of cool, as you wind up seeing Batman throw like these projection things on the ground, and they project like shadows of himself. So when the bad guys go after him, it's like a decoy thing. I thought was really, really cool too, as well. And so, yeah, there's a mystery behind this thing. Every time someone dies, or what is it, Catwoman's trying to get some information, they're like foaming at the mouth and like they're dying and stuff like that. So it was kind of cool. It was a good book. We got this new like crawler that Batman has as well, where it's like it crawls up walls and it turns into a jet. I think that was kind of cool. And then we get this epilogue. So we're trying, I guess, obviously the Joker's going to make his appearance back in this book, because we get to see the Joker's like little cronies all together, and then one little guy kills another guy, and then Joker blows him up at the end. So obviously Joker is going to be the long-term thing that goes forward in this particular issue, or in this series, and that's kind of how it ended. So it was kind of cool. I guess, seeing Batman's vision of building a better Gotham, I think is kind of cool. And again, dealing with this whole, it's really just a real introductory thing. And we got this mystery of, this person that wants Batman dead, obviously, that's killing all these people, whatever. It was good. I liked it. It was enjoyable. It was much better than what we have been getting, in my opinion, because with King's run, it was just the same old thing over and over. It was like love letters and marry me, and we don't get married, and let's marry me at the end of the series or at the end of the run. But, oh, just kidding, we were too distracted by having sex to get married. So, yeah, it was some crazy stuff there. But this issue was good. And for me, I never dropped Batman. I did think about it, but this solidifies it that it's going to continue to be on my pull list for a long time coming, and I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah, so great stuff here when it comes to Batman. All right, so let's see if I have some comments here to answer. And that was the last comic that we're talking about. So any comments you guys want to put, go ahead and put it down. All right. G-Spot says, do you get your books graded or keep it raw? I notice most channels talk about getting their books graded. Yeah, I'm not one of those guys that gets their books graded. I know a lot of people are attracted to that, and it gives you like a true value of a comic book. But I don't have the money to truly get all my books graded. I would love to do that, but being that I have a family of 4 and things like that, there's other priorities. I might think of getting some key books graded at a time. But yeah, I would like to, but if money wasn't a situation, I would do it. But yeah, I know people do like getting a grade. So between all the comics I have, it's a pretty hefty penny. But I would love to do it one day. All right. Barbarian says, at coffee breath. That's funny. Artwork is fantastic when it comes to Batman. Yep. So we get a couple comments here when it comes to the artwork. Damn good artwork. That's what Hero and the Kid says. Comic Jabroni says, I'll give it 3 issues, but this issue felt a little rushed. Interesting. Yeah, I think it's kind of like, I think the larger point of the story is still yet to be there. So we'll see what happens with it. All right, Batman. Let's see. K. Crawl says Batman 86 was good. I like the change to the new creative team. Tom King's run got stale towards the end, and the artwork in the issue was amazing. So, yeah, that was my problem when it came to Batman with Tom King's run. We had so many artwork changes. It kind of frustrates me because that's the way Spider-Man is right now. You got Ryan Otley on one, and then you got another guy and another guy. With Tom King's run, you had, you may have had Tony S. Daniel, then you had John Romita Jr. Like, it was night and day. If you have artists that are similar on the book, then you don't notice the change as much, right? So that's the way I look at it there. So I love this artwork. I can't wait for more. Andrew says, the biggest thing I noticed about Batman 86 was the pacing. The issue moved at light speed compared to Tom King's issue. I agree with you there, Andrew. I think that the pacing was really well done. And I think that if there's one thing the fourth can do is he can maybe pace a story better overall. That was the issue when it comes to the overall run with Tom King. Like, it just kept on going and going and going and going. Even though there was the whole Bane story at the end, it really was one continuous story all the way through. From the point where Bane was and all the people were in jail and everything. It was just, I can't even relive it. And it was just thrown in there by, like, the marriage was like a distraction, All right. Hero and the Kid says, going back to Tom King, I heard he didn't want to kill Alfred. I heard it was the higher ups that made that decision. Now, I don't know for sure if that was the truth there. But I could believe it. I don't get why killing Alfred. Like, what does it do? It was a huge cliffhanger and it got people talking, but people don't believe that it's going to stay that way. Like, this is comic books. We all know that comic books come back, right? These characters come back, and a character like Alfred is so important to have because he's the father figure for Batman. So if he does come back, I think it will be a good thing. I don't want to see him gone. I like Alfred. I think he's cool. All right. K. Carl says, I hope as 2020 goes along, both DC Comics and Marvel can get back on track and just create good to great titles again and stop with the annual crossovers every 6 to 12 months. Just make good books. Now, when it comes to events that they're always going to make because they make for good trades, right? That's why we get titles these days that only last 6 issues, 12 issues, 4-issue miniseries, because they all want to resell it in trade again. That's the way a lot of the comic books are going these days. So when you get a major event, it's like, look, we'll have the major event. We sell the copies, the single copies in, for $3 a pop, and then we'll get to sell the trades as well. So that's what it is. They want to keep people engaged. They want to keep readers in the know. They don't want large numbering like they did because people feel lost with that. That will be their explanation to you when it comes to it. But I agree, though. I would rather have, books stay around. So, not change the numbering just because we get a new creative team on it. And I'm glad DC stuck with it that way. And Peter Parker is on the show, says, hi, Mike, thought Batman 86 was very good with stunning art, except for the regular cover with that weird trailing leg thing. Did think Batman and the Outsiders #9 was better, though. Where's this regular? Oh, I didn't see that. So you know what that's supposed to be right there is the bat signal, right? So that's the bat signal there, and that goes up. And then you have obviously his leg, and then you got his leg right here. That's what he's talking about there. It looks like it's really high up and it's really far away. So I could totally get what he's getting at right there. So there's that weird leg thing. So that's hilarious there. Oh boy. So yeah. So there are all the books this week, guys, that I read so far to this point. The other books will be read throughout the week. And K. Crawl says, I'm going to try to get into more indie titles in 2020, like Paper Girls Saga, and also trying other indie books. I've been reading indie books as well. We got that book 2020 that came out. Dead Eyes is another book. Saga is being written right now, I think, so that's going to be coming out again soon. There's a lot of good. Middle West is another one if you like fantasy. So those are some good indie titles for you guys. Red Mother is another one from Boom Studios. If you guys want to check that out too, that's a really good book. So check that one out as well. All right, guys. So that's it. I'm going to sign off for the afternoon. I really appreciate you guys watching today. And thank you for all the great comments. I had a lot of fun, as always, when I do this show. So, guys, again, if you like it, subscribe to it, do whatever it is you can. Don't forget all my other content. And you guys are my slayers. You guys slay it. So thank you so much. And guys, until next time, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. And I'll see you guys real soon. Take care, everyone. Have a good afternoon.